There we go. Ah, we're on. Oh, Google on your, yeah. Hi, I am Mona Darling, and I am interviewing Miss Britt Reints, a happiness coach for Viva Your Revolution. We're going to be talking about ways to make 2015 or any year or any month or any day a happier one. I'm really excited to have this conversation because I've always been somebody who, instead of having New Year's resolutions, because those never work out, I always try to pick one thing new to do each year that I've not done, that I wanted to do, that I put off. So I'm interested, fascinated with what you have to say.
I think it's funny that I'm doing this actually because, yeah, I have found that year-long resolutions are a lot. My husband and I were actually talking about this on our recent road trip back home for the holidays, and I said, yeah, I'm not so good at resolutions. I'm good for like 3 months at a time, evidenced by the fact that the most infamous resolution I ever made was New Year's of 1999. I resolved to never sleep with Jared Reints ever again. And December of 1999, our first son was born. So, which is about right. I was good for about 3 months. And that's okay. That was a resolution I was, turned out well to have broken because we're married and have 2 kids and whatever. But I'm like, that is just the epitome of my New Year's resolutions. I do really well for about 3 months. And so now I don't really set year-long resolutions. I might set, sort of an overall intention, but I find that I do better kind of a quarter at a time.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm about a 2-week person. I keep setting the 30-day, 30-day sit-ups every day kind of thing. No.
Yeah, well, and a lot of it comes down to, the types of resolutions or goals or intentions that you set for yourself. And it's funny because overall, I think most people want to be happy and or happier. It's one of our most very basic needs and desires. And yet, so often, the resolutions that we set for ourselves won't make us happier and don't make us happier. And I think that that's why we don't stick with them, is because, our instincts kick in and we go, yeah, that's not working, that's not making me happier, and that's ultimately, what's one of our key driving factors. So, ironically, I think we are so hardwired to want happiness, and yet we are so bad at predicting what will make us happy.
Yeah, that was
we are
my next
really
question.
bad at
What's
that.
going to make you happy? Because people have a hard time deciphering, like, do they really want it, or are they expected to have it? Is that something that their family or society,
Yes, that's definitely, I think, the first thing before you start setting your intentions is make sure you're not shitting on yourself. Don't set intentions or goals for yourself because you think that it's something you should do or you should want.
Mm-hmm.
If you find yourself saying, oh, I should lose 20 pounds this year, well, that's not going to work, because the word should is a big red flag that says that you are being motivated by outside expectations and obligations, and those just don't work. It's not in line with your own personal values, and it doesn't mean that the goal itself is a bad one, but if you're hooking it into somebody else's stuff, somebody else's values, then it's never going to work, and you're never going to know if it's really the right goal for yourself. So the very first thing is to stop and go, well, wait a minute, is this something that am I shitting on myself here? Because if you are, back up, start over. Definitely numero uno step.
So how do people figure out if they're doing it for them or if they're doing it for somebody else?
Really, language is a big thing. I always say, like, to be careful of, are you using the word should? So pay attention to how you're talking to yourself and how you're saying it and what's rooting it. The other things there are some very basic things that we know about what does make us happy. So, things like money in and of itself does not necessarily make us happier. you know, being a certain size, shape, weight, so losing X amount of pounds is very unlikely to make you happier. You know, so those kinds of, if you can't describe why you want a specific goal, then that's probably a goal that's not going to really resonate with you, and you're not going to be very motivated to stick with it. That's a really good strategy, is to ask yourself, well, why? What's my reason for this? And if you get excited about it, then yay, you know, that's good. If you start to feel, you know, kind of guilty about it, or kind of, again, start, well, I really probably should, then that's a sign that that's probably not a really, you know, guts-driven goal. So yeah, definitely ask yourself why, and stay away from some of those, you know, cliched, superficial types of goals. What does make people happy, you know, is really actually very basic. Number one is connection. Connection to other people, connection to family, friends, community, yourself, connection. So resolutions that are rooted somehow in connections have a really, really good chance of making you happier. You know, maybe it's you resolve to have more date nights with your husband, or spend more quality time with your kids, or visit your grandmother in the nursing home, you know, whatever. If it's a resolution that's based on improving your connections, scientifically, that's more likely to actually make you happier. So that's a big one. Another thing is doing things for other people. I was just listening to this morning in NPR TED Hour podcast, which is one of my favorites, and they did one a few weeks ago about the money paradox. And there's fascinating experiments that have been done about the difference between spending $5 on yourself and spending $5 on somebody else. And over and over and over and over and over again, it's been proven that spending $5 on somebody else makes you happier than spending $5 on yourself. Spending $5 on yourself actually usually has no effect on your happiness. It doesn't make you unhappy, but it doesn't improve your happiness. So
Interesting.
So doing things for other people, you know, if a resolution is somehow tied to that, that has a really good chance of making you happier.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what are your goals? Oh, actually, I wanted to ask you about gratitude journals, because I know a lot of people, that's a big thing, writing in a gratitude journal. Like, how do you feel about writing things down?
I am a huge fan of the gratitude journal. For me personally, that has been one of the biggest life-changing habits that I ever started for myself. And I actually started it as a marketing gimmick for my blog. I did not start it with any intention of being, you know, happy or healthy or anything like that. I started it as a way to keep track of this trip that I was taking. And, you know, I thought this was a good way to frame it, and it would be very, you know, easy to get sponsors for. And none of that actually happened. But what did happen is that in doing this gratitude journal, it completely changed my perspective on life in general, and it made me more aware of the little things, and it changed the paradigm through which I was looking at my life. You know, I was going out and actively looking for something that I could write in this gratitude practice. I think that a gratitude practice is to happiness what diet and exercise is to weight loss. You know, it's the very most basic, common sense. It works. It always works. It just works. And yet it's the hardest thing to get people to do. I think partly because it is just so common sense and not gimmicky, and, you know, it doesn't sound really super cool, but basically you just take out a journal, a notebook at the end of the day, and you write down 3 things that you're grateful for, and do it every day. And, or, you know, mostly.
It's not about writing a lot, or you know.
No. And one of my favorite things about a gratitude practice is that 5 minutes maybe that you spend doing it is 5 minutes that you spend with kind of just talking to your own intuition. So it has this byproduct of really strengthening your intuition too, because you're just, you know, being honest with yourself. What was good today? You know, maybe it was a walk outside, maybe it was beautiful sunset, blah, 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 but maybe it was, you know, you made a really good dinner. Maybe it was Scandal was awesome that day, you know, and the more honest you are with yourself, the more powerful that gratitude practice really can be.
Yeah, and I think that you'll also see a pattern of what actually makes you happy.
Yes, exactly. That's when so as much as I like as a writer and a speaker and a coach and stuff, I work in this very creative field. I love data,
Mhm.
weirdly enough. And so one of the things I love about a gratitude practice is it gives you this like black and white, you could practically put it in a spreadsheet and go, oh, wow, being outside pops up all the time. Playing with my dogs pops up all the time, which that would never pop up on mine. And it starts to show you, like you get this black and white list, oh, these are the things that make me happy. And that's powerful. That's really powerful because we all have days when we need to do something to make us happy, and we just do not have the emotional energy to remember what is it that makes me happy again. And it's great to be able to look at this list and go, I don't know, I guess playing with my dogs makes me happy. I'm gonna go try that, and it works. It will work, and so it's really nice for me to have that resource.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially women, end up feeling like they have so many other things to do that these little things that make them happy are always put off.
Mm-hmm.
Women put happiness and self-care underneath
Yes.
taking care of everybody else.
Yes, I think that's one of my biggest missions in life is to get women to realize that their happiness matters. That it's important for them, that them being happier people is good for their families, their communities, it's good for the world, that your happiness is it's a worthy cause.
Put on your
Um,
own oxygen mask first, right?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you matter, like so many times we kind of sneak that in the back door with women by saying, like, well, do it because then you'll be able to take care of other people. And that's true and that's good, but also do it because you're worth saving. Like you don't put on your oxygen mask first just because the only value you have is to save the person next to you. You put on your mask because you are also worth saving. You have something to contribute to this world, so take care of yourself. Um, so yeah.
Embrace self-worth because that's how you show your kids
Yes.
that self-worth is
Yes.
important.
That's one of the things that I'm trying to hammer into my daughter right now is that, it is her responsibility to love herself. That is her job. That is one of the most important things that she can ever do is love herself and value herself because nobody else will ever be able to do it like she does. And, she's been given gifts and resources and strengths and things like that, and it's her job to take care of herself so that she can share those. So I'm really trying to hammer that into her right now as she approaches puberty and self-esteem,
Yeah.
landmine, all those things.
So do you have her doing a gratitude journal?
I have tried. She doesn't stick with it real well. One of the things so she is more visual than she is verbal.
Mm-hmm.
So she will draw. I let her, tried to encourage her to draw in her journal, pictures of things that matter to her and things like that. So, yeah, I've tried with everybody in my family, and it's kind of hit and miss. And that's okay. A gratitude journal, just like anything else, is something that you have to do for yourself.
Yeah.
And even with your kids, there's only so much you can make them do. They have seen, I have a happiness jar in my house that I'm so excited because the year's almost over, so I get to go through it and look at last year's. And I kind of mark down the big memories, the really high highs, and put it on scrap paper and put it in there. So right now, I'm kind of just modeling these behaviors for them, and
Which is the most important thing that you can do.
right. Right. Instead of doing making them write a gratitude journal, what we do at dinner is we do high-low, so they have to share, the high of their day and the low of their day, and that's kind of as much pushing as I can do with them right now.
I totally understand.
So, yeah, and I make everybody in my family do vision boards too at the beginning of the year.
Well, that's awesome though.
Yeah, it's fun because they're collages. I do them on, wrapped around canvas, and we do collages, and then I actually hang them up in my kitchen. And I kind of forget about them until people come over, and they're always like, "Oh, those are interesting. What's those?" And they're kind of fun. So
yeah, I've done that sort of thing, and then you feel like you're not getting anywhere, and then you look at your collage board or, however you're putting that together, and you're like, oh, actually, okay, so I have done like, a
Yeah.
lot of things. It's just as soon as I accomplish them, I sort of forget that that was a goal and I move on.
Yeah.
And,
Yes,
uh,
that is definitely true. One of the things I want to do that I have on my list of things to do before the year is up is make a list of, some of the things that I have accomplished in this year because it is easy to forget. I think before you start, running off and making a list of all of the things you want to do next year, it's a really good idea to take stock of, what you've already done and take some time to appreciate and, be proud of yourself. I think that's a really good idea. So.
awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, the royal us, and offering your happiness wisdom.
You're
Miss
welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Miss Britt is the revolutionary of the month for January, and we will be hearing more from her as the month progresses. Have a great day. Bye.